Mic check 1 2. I'm hoping that this thing will stay straight. Every time you start getting ready to do something, man, it seems like everything goes wrong. But it is what it is. It's Friday, and I thank anyone and everyone who will tune into this installment of the 19 Report, telling it like it is. Shout out to my big homie Dale Castro Powell. Praying for your brother, praying for your mind state, praying that things will get better in your mind. The loss of a child is something that most people will never understand. So grieve the way you grieve, brother. If you had a child, you want your child to bury you. You never want to have to bury a child, no matter what type of activity they may have been involved in. Shout out to and my prayers to Tanya Thames as well, to the family in general. So I want to thank y'all for tuning into this installment of the 19 Report like it is, and every other show that I have involved with this platform. I'm going to take my time today, as always, and go through some things. Again, I won't be responding to anything on the board right away. I will respond after I'm done. But this is another timely subject that Allah has really just placed on my heart for a long time. And honestly, the commentaries are getting so personal and so to the point where I know people are going to respond to me, and sometimes even people want to, just really act up about things. But someone has to talk about the subjects that are difficult to address, and because I've been through most of those things to a certain degree, I want to talk about them. And God says, I'll give you the platform. I'll give you the courage. All you got to do is stand up, open your mouth, and I'll give you what to say. So give me about, God willing, an hour. And then I got so many things to do today. I thank Almighty God. I want to say a prayer first, of course, for our children. I pray that Almighty God will watch over them and help them to understand how to develop their thinking into a higher realm of thinking, that they will not be enticed and encapsulated in this negative realm of violence, negative realm of drugs and abuse. I pray that God will protect them in their youth and help them to see a way out of a difficult situation without having to involve themselves in nefarious activities, anything negative. I pray that God will give them insight and desire to do and be something greater than what they are. I pray that we will break this curse of negativity that Satan has planned and plotted to put us in. I pray that the young will begin to see the design of Satan's plan and begin to rebel against that design. I pray that all of the mental illnesses that are going through our community will be addressed. And I pray that they will be properly medicated and properly diagnosed, that our children will begin to balance in their brains. Unfortunately, they chose a lifestyle that is taking more from them than it's giving. But when you're living desire, it feels like everything you do feels good. So I want to get into that today. And the only way you can get into these things, as taught by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, when you see a devil, you call him out. That's the greatness of Christ. Not the one that you all see every day, that white-faced guy. That's not Christ. That's not Jesus. I'm quite sure there is a white Jesus for white people, but that one is not it for us. So Christ would point out, you are of your father, the devil. We don't do that. We try to get along with everybody for the sake of getting along. And that's improper. That is a problem. So I'm praying for the young people, because I feel what you feel. Now, I want to go into several subjects today. I want to go into marijuana. I want to go into PTSD. Now, I did do a commentary on genetically modified marijuana some years ago, and boy, they ran down on me like a ton of bricks. And I did do several commentaries, by God's permission, on PTSD as well. So I'm praying that God will give our people the strength to share information that is of value. Because South Carolina in particular, and I know y'all get all upset when I talk about South Carolina, but when God sends a person somewhere or raises a person somewhere, that's where they're supposed to talk about. Now, I know it's difficult for you to say, well, Jamil is from God, but we're all from God. All you got to do is tune into the God spirit with super sensitivity and empathy, and he will talk to you. Not a verbal conversation, but your life has to be the testimony. So if you're not built for pain, if you're not built, you got to win every fight. If you got to win everything, if you got to be the person who's liked all the time, if you got to be the person who everybody looks at as the great guy, then you're not built for it. So if you're not built for it, it's not for you. Live your life the way you deem fit. But if you turn a person away from who God sent to deliver a message, and you know it's a clear message because you know when you hear it. So I'm praying for the young. I'm also praying for the old who are still young, because you got 40 and 50-year-olds sagging their pants at the party with the young people, chasing young coochie, chasing young wee wee. We're just a mixed up people who, when God is about to destroy anything, he always sends a messenger or warner to warn the people of what is coming. It's not just me. There are many of them, Christian, Muslim, many that don't subscribe to any religion. It's a certain way you got to say a certain thing to reach certain people, and that's just the way it is. So thank you for tuning in, and I'm so grateful to Allah for getting me on today. So grateful that he gave me the energy, because I'm getting more and more afraid to do commentaries because I know the backlash is going to be very difficult. So here we go. Give me about maybe 40 minutes. I want to go into PTSD. This is nothing scripted. I just have some stuff written down. Post-traumatic stress syndrome in children. Now, as a child, and I always use my life as the example, because what better example to use? As a child, I remember my father and my mother always having, not always, but if they had a gathering at the house, it would start out great. And then the liquor would come out. The liquor is the only thing I knew. I didn't know anything about marijuana or anything else. But once the liquor came out, the demons came out. And by the end of the night, there was a fight. By the end of the night, someone was getting cut. By the end of the night, my mother and my father were fussing with each other. Sometimes we would even have to run out of the house. My father in the house fighting with someone else. Blood here, blood there, from just foolishness from that demonic spirit that comes in alcohol or drugs or whatever else. As we are fighting and answering our desires to retaliate to someone, we're not thinking about the children who are seeing the violence. I saw a video on YouTube the other day, and the parents were out there really acting up real bad. But I heard the children in the background, and you're not paying attention to the fact that this child will suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome probably for the rest of their life. And when they can't deal with that, if they hear their mother get loud, if they hear their father get loud, if they hear screaming, if they see a bunch of people congregated together, that post-traumatic stress may trigger up, may flare up. So to deal with that, at 13, 14, 10, 9, our children are looking for a way to escape from the reality of the pain that parents aren't able to address, because we don't even recognize that we are causing this type of pain in the mind of our children, under developing their brain from the foolishness that we are engaged in. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught that when a woman is pregnant, you don't allow her to see any scary movies. You don't allow her to be in any situation that causes fearful emotions or anything like that. Keep her watching things that are funny or uplifting or inspiring, so that the blood that goes into the child is blood of hope, blood of accomplishment. Slavery did just the opposite of that. Slavery intentions were to put fear in us of our slave master, and it worked. Because all of the violence that's going on in the world, you don't see no black person drive by shooting a white person. You don't see them drive by shooting up the house of a white person. You don't see them robbing a white person. Very rare. Because even though we have these guns and we're willing to kill each other, we don't have that same will and desire in us to do it to white people. Not that I'm advocating that, but I'm making a point. So here is this child, me, my brother, my sisters, seeing this violence. I grew up in a state of suspended animation where anytime things appeared as if though they were going to get violent, appeared as if though someone was going to disagree, I was willing to sacrifice my happiness to quell that situation, to make it not be so. So I became like a class clown, for any of you that know me, in school and everywhere else. Anything that I had to do in order to get people's minds off of violence, because post-traumatic stress had caused me to become so weary, so afraid, so frozen in time when violence came about. That's what's happening to our children today. So to this day, I don't like to watch sports. I don't like to play sports. Every time we got on the basketball court, before the game was over, somebody was fighting or shooting. Football, the same. I don't like that. I don't like, and a lot of the things that I may have been successful in, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about our children. A lot of things that I may have been successful in, I turned my back on because of the fear of it, because it had caused post-traumatic stress in me. So seeing these young people, a man walking his daughter home from school and he gets his brains blown out in front of his daughter. Parents fighting in the street. 7-year-old boy murdered in his home from gun violence. 13-year-old girl wounded. Every time they hear a loud car or hear a loud bang or see anything that reminds them of that, they're going to suffer for that. This is all by Satan's design. Satan designed this to the letter to cause conflict and confusion in the minds of each individual, in the home, in the community, to cause confusion, to make people think that the only thing that matters is me. So our children are suffering internally in a way that we have no answer to help them not suffer. Right? On Facebook, there was a shooting in a restaurant. Guy pulled out a gun and he shot 4 people. He killed 3. I think the other one may be in critical condition. I don't know if they lived or if they died. But in that situation, something sparked him to think that his life was in danger. When I'm a lover of music, but whenever I hear music now, music is associated to me with gang violence, with aggression, the bass in it, the sound in it. Whoever is listening to it, they frighten me. They put me on alert. They make me want to grab a weapon in order to protect myself and my family. It's all post-traumatic stress. So our children are going through things at an early age and we don't even address it. The average child doesn't even know how to roll up pennies in a penny roller and how many pennies go in a penny roller. The average child doesn't know how to break down a $20 bill. The average child doesn't know how to express themselves enough to say, Mama, I'm afraid. They're afraid to say they are afraid. Or the average child doesn't understand that. When I was coming up, the Ku Klux Klan would ride in our neighborhood in King Street in Rocktown every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Any loud vehicle that came through the neighborhood caused fear and panic in my heart and my mind. And I could feel it pumping through my blood. So you don't know what a person has gone through, what a person is going through. And if you're not a medical professional or you're not super sensitive or empathetic enough to understand their pain, you can't address the pain. I'm coming to a point. Now these fearful children become fearful teens and adults. But they decide either I'm going to escape this fear or I'm going to attack this fear. That's what you're seeing in our children today. They are drug addicts. They'll take any pill. They don't care where the pill comes from. People are pressing their own pills now. They're putting Drano in it, rat poison in it, fentanyl in it. They just put a bunch of pills together, whatever, and press it. And we take it. Burning literally our our veins, our blood cells, our brain cells. It's burning all of that out permanently. Our children are taking these things at 9, 10, and 11 years old, trying to escape the reality of their life. I know that my mother loved me, but she did not like me because I looked so much like my father. Already my life was planned, and many of you are going through this as well. I was going to be a drunk, a nobody, a bum. So no effort was put into helping me develop, helping my brother develop. None of it. Just like the slave master, just keeping us in line until we got old enough to get out. Many of you young people, why you are acting out the way you're acting out, you can't have no conversation. You say you love your mother, you hug your mother, you might kiss your mother, you'll fight for your mother, you'll fight for your father, but you rarely have in-depth conversations to help you through an emotional situation. This is why I don't hold grudges against people. And a lot of times when they do me wrong in a certain way, because I have done people wrong as well. I mean, the life that I lived, I've done people so wrong that's why I do the things that I do now, trying to correct the mistakes that were made then with my children, with friends, with family, with strangers. So our children are suffering from post-traumatic stress. They don't know how to handle that stress, so they look for stress relievers. If they find codeine in the medicine cabinet, they're going to take it. If they find pills, they're going to take it. You remember when we were younger and mom and daddy would be drinking a beer, and the minute you came in the room, they would hide it behind their back? Even if the beer was even if the liquor was in a glass, they would still hide it behind their back because they didn't want the children to get involved with adult situations. In 2020, here, take a drink. Smoke this. I'm coming to a point. I'm coming to what is going on in the minds of our children. Why are we trying to blame Trump? Why are we trying to blame the police? Why are we trying to blame everything outside of ourselves and the responsibility of our children to help us help them develop in a responsible manner? My commentary today is like reading a book you don't want to read, but if you read that book would be the key to your success. But you don't want to read it because it's boring. He's taking too long. But God gives me an assignment, and I take the assignment because he could just go on to the next person, and my life is much better off with Allah in charge of me. The fear in our children as we're out there fighting like animals. I remember I used to cling so tight to my mother till it was ridiculous, to her leg, shaking, looking for comfort from somebody. And at 51 years old, I'm still looking for comfort from a woman, looking for comfort from a mother figure, looking for comfort from a father figure, and realizing in 2020 that the adults 60 and 70 aren't able to give the love that is necessary to break the cycle of death that Satan has put us in. Okay? We can't say I love you. You know how I feel about you, right? We can't give our children the things that are necessary for them to develop in the proper way. Now they're so angry, they will fight you. In homes, children are cussing out their parents, fighting them. And you may not believe it, but I read a story where some of them are raping their mothers, their aunts, their cousins, because they have no maternal connection to blood relatives. Serious situation. My prayer is over, by the way. I might say another one, but my whole commentary is literally a prayer. So the music, when I hear it really loud, I panic because the violence that came along with it. Children who hear gunfire or loud yelling, when I hear loud yelling or I hear a loud vehicle, I'm flashing back now to the 70s when those loud trucks used to come through the neighborhood and terrified me. But if you're living this jittery life, if you're living this depressed life, if you're living this painful life, you're going to look for an escape. Now children can't sleep. trying to address in themselves the pain and suffering that they're going through because they're being molested, they're being raped, they're being bullied, they're looking for a key. All they see is if I join up with the people who are doing this to me, maybe it'll stop. So overnight, you see a person who seems to have had their lives together begin to fall apart. And all of these pills and marijuana and stuff and I'm not talking about marijuana. I'm talking about genetically modified marijuana that is attacking the kidneys, attacking the liver, attacking the brain, and causing permanent damage to the organs in the body. You can see it in our young people because their skin is dark and dry. You can see it in the glaze in their eyes. You can see it in the way they behave. You can see it in the constant repetition of needing to pop this pill, smoke this cigarette, smoke this marijuana in order to feel like I'm sane. But these things are taking you into a whole nother realm. So you're not dealing with the reality of the realm you're in. You're going someplace else. And that's why a lot of them can shoot easy, fight easy, set it off easy, spark off easy. As parents, we are not prepared to save our future. Many of us think that if the child gets into college, they're saved, but that's not necessarily so. There are so many other elements that are there waiting on them. Satan set up a system. If it doesn't catch you in your home or catch you in the street, it'll catch you in college. It'll catch you in church. It's going to catch you somewhere. Somewhere Satan's introduction to rebellion is going to be a test for us. So we have to begin to, as taught to me by Allah and the teachings of Islam and the teachings of Christianity, all the same, all the prophets, all the messengers that come from God, they're all cool with me. That we must begin to attack these things at the root level. And prayerfully, you will share information like this, like you share foolishness. Because there is a ripple effect for anyone that glorifies foolishness. You may be trying to raise your child properly, but if all you're doing is sharing fight videos and violent videos and booty shaking videos, your child will become a product of that. Every drug dealer, with the exception of those who are mighty, mighty strong, are either going to end up in jail, dead, or addicted to the drugs that they sell. Why? Because the mental part, we are not addressing that. I talked about the person that shot the 4 people in the restaurant. You all saw the violent video. That stuff disturbs me to my core. I can't really watch it. But there were a group of people outside of the restaurant filming in because one person had gotten shot in the temple, but it blew their eye out. And to show you the level of the mentality of us, of course, there's stress and traumatic stress, but you can hear a lady in the background saying, somebody get some tissue. Somebody get some tissue. And I'm thinking to myself, what is tissue going to do? And who's going to go in there and actually put tissue on this guy? That's stress. You can hear the people who are filming. Ooh, look at him. His eye. Ooh, ooh. These are adults now. Not helping, but videotaping. I heard a guy on the internet say the other day that when the police officer had his knee on the neck of George Floyd, instead of videotaping, people should have been throwing rocks and bricks at the cop. Like I told you before, I talked to a police officer and I told him, I don't agree with the rioting. I don't agree with none of that. But I think they should have handled that situation right then, right there. Because if you had started to throw bricks and rocks and stuff at this cop who is obviously violating his pledge to the people, he would have at least taken his knee off of the neck of George Floyd, and George Floyd would still be alive. But it all goes back to the mentality of the people in our childlike minds. So we play a lot of video games, and to us, killing is like playing a video game. This was all Satan's design, all of these violent games and this violent music. It's by design. So now death, we celebrate it. We wear a person's face on our shirt. And we celebrate them for a couple of days, and then we go on back to the same place where they were killed. We go back there. So I'm praying for our young people. And this is not all that I want to say, but it's all that I will say. Then I'm going to go into the subject of what marijuana does to the teenage brain, what alcohol does to the teenage brain. I've already said that. But I want to read this verbatim from the American Addiction Center. The title of it is The Effects of Marijuana on the Teenage Brain. I want you to understand this very clear if you can. First of all, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Agency reports that marijuana is the most commonly used illicit substance in the United States, according to the results from the 2018 National Survey on Drugs and Drug Use and Health, and estimated that 43.5 million individuals reported using marijuana during the past year. Marijuana use is widespread among young. Some statistics of it used, and then it gives all of these statistics of the people who are using marijuana. Now, 3.1 million adolescents aged 12 to 17. 11.8 million ages 18 to 25. 14% of 8th graders have used marijuana in their lifetime, 33% of 10th graders, 44% of 12th graders, 24% of 12th graders in the past month, and 6% of 12th graders in their lifetime. The biggest trap that was ever set for young people today is legalizing marijuana. But just like the hog, the pig, how one time it was just pork chops, pork loin, whatever, somebody said we're throwing away too much of this hog. So rather it is healthy or not healthy, and the whole hog is not healthy. That's another subject for another time. Rather it's healthy or not healthy, we're going to use all of it. So as a young person, my brother and I used to kill pigs. We cut them up. We cut up the tongue, the eyes, the brain, the ears, the testicles, grind all of that up. That's what they call hash. The hoofs, pig feet, every part of the pig, the intestines, you clean the stinky out. You call that chitlins. You literally eating where the filth of the body that's being rejected, you clean the filth out, yet the filth is absorbed into these intestines. You cook it as stink. You eat it as stink, but you eat it. And I'm not condemning anyone. I'm making a point. You do what you want to do. That's your business, your life. My brother and I killed these things. But just like with the hog, they decided we're going to use every facet, every part. We're not going to throw away any part of this hog. We're going to grind it down into hash. The same thing with marijuana use. When it was realized all the money and taxes that weren't being paid because people were selling marijuana under the table, just like with alcohol. We got to prohibit alcohol. Then it became illegal, and they were making so much money illegally, but the taxes weren't being paid on it. They had to legalize it and tax it. So marijuana is legalized and taxed. But here's the thing for you young people, and then we're going to get into what marijuana do to the brain. Then I'm going. Marijuana gets you high, inebriated. Anytime you're high, if you're driving high, it's just like driving drunk. But you say, I ain't did nothing but smoke a joint, but you're still impaired. And another thing with the marijuana is that if the police smell it, that gives them probable cause to search your vehicle anytime they please. 9 times out of 10, they're going to let you go. But in the very near future, once these prisons are set up the way they want them and these workhouses are set up the way they want them, they're not going to let you go. Because the undesirables, quote unquote, have to be eliminated from society. But first, you got to act like an animal. This generation, the 80s babies to the 90s to now, the very next generation that comes after you, if you're not careful, they will be walking on all fours. That'll be cool, to walk on your hands and your feet, because the only thing you want to do is be rebellious. Whatever someone tells you to do, you do the opposite. I'm a thug. I ain't doing nothing. So all of this are signs of depression, are signs of lack of growth, lack of nurturing, lack of love. And all of the situations we are put into, seeing your partner get shot down, killed, you kill somebody, you go, you smoke marijuana, you drink to forget. That becomes the answer to forgetting. So most of our young people are addicts, dope fiends. This is true. You can't, and I'm not insulting you. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm an addict. I'm addicted to pain pills. I've thought it and beat it, but I think anytime I get stressed out, I want to pop a pill. I want something that I can take that will make me forget the current situation. If I get nervous, I want to pop a pill. I don't like being nervous. So we're all addicts. You understand what I'm saying? I'm saying myself, you, us. We're addicts. But why are we addicts? Why are we addicted to things? Why are we addicted to loving the wrong person? Why do women get involved with someone who clearly is advanced in street life than they are? Because they're looking for protection. They're looking for a father that they never had. They're looking for someone to cause them to be obedient. They're looking for aggression. They want to participate in that. So now most of these young people call men daddy. Please don't call me daddy. But that is how Satan is it's not interrupting anything. This world was satanic from the start. This world started with the gun. This America started with blood, and it'll end in blood. The greatest country to ever be established started in blood and deceit and will end in blood and deceit. But here's the thing. The slave, who was the prototype for how to use these mental and spiritual techniques to destroy the mind, the body, the soul, the spirit. We are now embracing the same satanic behavior that turned us into what we are. This is where we are. So we can't develop proper home life. We can't develop in our brains properly because we're trying to escape the pain of not being able to express ourselves, not being able to understand what's going on. Let me close with this. The effects of marijuana on the teenage brain. Please listen. When a person uses marijuana, the principal psychoactive chemical called tetrahydrocannabinoid, or THC, passes from the lungs through the smoke or digestive tract. With edibles, it goes directly into the bloodstream. The blood carries THC to the brain, where it acts on specific cannabinoid receptors. These receptors are predominantly found in areas of the brain associated with concentration, thinking, sensory, time perception, pleasure, memory, and coordination. Overactivation of these areas by THC causes the high that people feel. Marijuana use can impair functions such as attention, memory, and learning. And these effects can last up to several days beyond the time of the actual high. Now, I want to say this real quick. I'm going to pause for a minute. Then I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say this real quick. I am not opponent. I'm not opposing marijuana. I believe in many cases when a person has cancer, if a person has multiple sclerosis, if a person suffers from mental issues, if a person suffers from, psychological issues, nerve issues, pains that can't be helped with medication, I believe marijuana is appropriate for that particular situation. Not this genetically modified marijuana, though. Not the stuff that has been developed in the laboratory to control the thinking of a person. but just regular old marijuana. I believe that it would be very effective to help with certain diseases. Now, I don't like the smell of it, but that don't mean I'll tell you not to smoke it. My son got friends and friends got friends, and when they get together, when I say I'm coming over to the house, some of them will say, Pop, don't come over because we smoking marijuana. I know not to come. Or if it's something that I got to do, my son will tell them, yo, y'all can't smoke in the house today. Y'all got to smoke outside or whatever because my pop is coming over. That don't mean I'm condemning a person because they smoke marijuana. That's your business. I'm telling you about the future of our children. And the problem that we have is anytime we take something personal, we reject the messenger and the message. Remember, Jesus was condemned for bringing the message that would have saved the people. Not only was he condemned, but he was killed based on that message. And you all love to kill people today without proper understanding of what they're doing. So you're killing people of value just to prove a point. Now, unfortunately for teenagers, marijuana use can have much more long-term effects. The teenage brain is not yet fully developed or fully mature, with the neurodevelopment continuing until at least the early or mid-20s. So until the early or mid-20s, the teenage brain is not yet developed. You understand? So when you got an arm baby in your arm and you smoking marijuana, that's child abuse. Because that child is going to be born mentally undeveloped. And the children that we are seeing before us today, the 20, the 18s, the 30s, they are mentally underdeveloped. And some of them are cracking at 30. I don't know what happened to him. He just went crazy. Because each time you smoke marijuana, just like having a seizure, an epileptic seizure, brain cells die that do not replenish themselves. So you sitting around here looking like this. That's how we look. You feel good, but mentally underdeveloped. So now someone challenges you and you think manhood and courage is murder. And our children have been bombarded with music and videos that are saying that in order to be a man, to have courage, courage is synonymous with murder. So now we pulling out guns and I don't give a F. I'm going to shoot the baby. I'm going to shoot the dog. I'm going to shoot everybody. All Satan's design. All of it. I remember Minister Society when Cain and Old Dog was going to take revenge on Cain cousin Harold. And he said, hey, man, I ain't killing no women or no old people or no babies. And Old Dog like, F that. I'm killing everybody out there. And AWACS over there, yup. Now, he the oldest OG, but he's encouraging them to break the code and kill babies, women, and children. Now, you watching this movie on the high. Oh, man, that's what's up, man. Yeah, I'm going to kill some babies and children too, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I'll give an F, nigga. Yo, that's us. Whatever your mind state is when you are puffing on that marijuana is where you're going. That's why some people like Bob Marley and some others can have a mind state of, I'm gonna have a big community march. We're gonna start some programs, and they're smoking this marijuana, but their mind is on positive, going up. Your mind is on negative, going down. So when you smoke it, you're thinking death and destruction. Let's move on. During adolescence, the brain is particularly sensitive to drug exposure, and marijuana use impacts how connections are formed within the brain. Other effects on the developing brain include interference with neurotransmitters and abnormal brain shape and structure volume. So the brains are shrinking and the brains are abnormal. So certain parts of the brain that are connected with certain emotions and rationality aren't developed. So now in order to stay sane, you got to keep smoking marijuana. And check this out. Most of the smokers don't have a job because they can't keep a job. Where do you think they're going to get the money from? Most of the smokers, you can tell them, hey, don't do that. And they say, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Then 5 minutes later, they're doing the same thing again. And you said, I told you not to do that. Hey, man, I done stopped doing it one time. I ain't going to stop doing it again. I'm telling you, what's happening. I'm not saying don't smoke marijuana. I'm saying don't smoke it around children under 20. Give them a chance like mama and daddy gave us a chance when they hid the liquor behind their backs and they hid the beer behind their, come here, baby. How you doing? You do. And you can smell it on their breath, but you don't know what it is. But they were trying to respect the growth of the individual. I don't want my child seeing me drinking no liquor. I don't want my child seeing me drink. That's why mama used to bring somebody home and go in the room and say, this your Uncle so-and-so, we going to look at TV. Then you hear a lot of moaning and groaning. They were trying to save us. So children are being underdeveloped right out of the womb. Mothers are smoking it. And let me tell you something. Every doctor, every healthcare physician does not care about you or your children. They will inject your child with anything that they're told to inject them with. They'll do it. They'll tell you it's all right to drink. They'll tell you it's all right to smoke marijuana, but they won't tell you the truth. That's up for you to determine what's best for your child. And anybody that violates that, that's an act of treason. That's an act of war. I want my child to have the very best opportunity to develop with some sense of normalcy. So under the age of 20, the brain can be misshapen, underdeveloped, mental retardation, ADHD, ADD, all these other things. Now your child is addicted to drugs for the rest of their life. They can't stop. If they stop, they'll go insane. And you right there with them because you want them at peace. You don't want no trouble. This is where we are. I'm going to say a quick prayer, then I'm going to read this, then we're going to close. I'm asking Almighty God to allow these words to touch the hearts, the minds, and the souls of the people who it is intended to touch. I'm praying that the people don't become rebellious and angry at the word and reject the word or reject it's okay to reject the message, but I pray that you accept it's okay to reject the messenger. But I pray that Almighty God, Allah, will permit you to accept the message. We are in a time that is so, we're in a dire time. Because finally our young people are making money that they've never seen before, but they're making that money doing the things that the world is doing. So they're not changing the direction of Satan's plan. Satan is not going to bother you as long as you are part of his plan. A Klansman will tell you, nigga, you killing your own people. You all right with me. Satan will tell you, sinner, you killing your own people. You all right with me. So where you think you're getting away with something, you're literally being encouraged to continue killing your people, and you don't care. We don't care because finally we're making a buck. Finally, we're making $1. So we're bragging about the bag, but the morals are gone. The connection to the community, gone. Connection to the children, the people, gone. We're going on trips. We're doing all these things we never did. We're taking pictures and pretending to be happy, but when you get home, hell is still right there waiting at the door. So we get high and we talk all kind of trash, but when the high goes, hell is still waiting at the door. So we're just finding temporary fixes for a very difficult issue. And I know that most people listen to respond. You don't listen to learn. You don't listen to contribute. You're just waiting on something. Ain't nothing wrong with marijuana. My mama smoked it all her life. My daddy smoked it. I didn't say that. I'm talking about the young, the underdeveloped brain. Would you want to see your child in slavery today? Would you want somebody to come in your home, snatch your child up, put them in chains, beat them, rape your daughters in front of you, make them have oral sex with them in front of you and make you do it? Would you want to see? Hell no, I kill them. Right. So if there's a devil in your life that is destructing the potential of your child, Islam teaches us to kill the devil. Not the person, but the idea that is in the person. And if the person is too strong, sometimes, like David and Goliath, you got to slay him. That's just the way it is. But you wait on God for that. Until then, we teach problem, reaction, solution. Right? I'm closing. If you suspect your teenager is suffering from marijuana abuse, you should seek professional help. Be very careful with the professional help. Don't let them substitute marijuana for some pill. You are a professional. Get your child out running, sweating out all of the mess that's in their body. A treatment plan, of course, can be customized to address your teen's unique abuse pattern and any related medical, psychiatric, and social problems. Our children are literally going insane. You see them, they're cracking. Women who thought that their body would save them for a long time, you done shake your booty so much till your booty muscles tired. You done gave your coochie up so much till your coochie wore out. And now you got to try to figure out a way to just be a human being, and you don't know how. You go to church and sit up every Sunday. That's not enough, because it's not addressing the problems that are internal in your mind. And when you talk to the preacher or the minister, first thing they say is, well, take it to God. Or some of these grimy preachers will take advantage of you and try to have sex with you as well. People with marijuana use disorder, especially adolescents, often also suffer from mental health issues. It is most effective to approach such a dual diagnosis with an integrated intervention, which allows a person to be treated for both their mental illness and substance abuse at the same time. Now, there it is. Anyone that relies on something to balance them out on a daily basis, that's an addiction. We all have them. But when a child under the age of 20 starts to smoking marijuana, smelling marijuana smoke, you all think it's no problem. See, that is where we make our mistake. If it don't bother me, why bother somebody else? Someone told me one day they have no problem with drinking. They can quit anytime they want. And they were running down on me for not drinking. But I know if I take a drink and I get drunk, I'm going to be an alcoholic because I'm looking for something to take away the pain that's in my heart, in my mind. I saw my father die from it. I saw my brother die from it, from alcohol. Destroyed their kidneys, their liver, their mind. I saw my brother, it was eating his brain up so bad. He called me one day. He lived in Atlanta, God rest his soul. He said, man, they taking all my stuff out of my house. They evicted me. They throwing me out. And I'm like, well, as soon as I can get me to the weekend, and I'm going to get down there and I'm going to get you a hotel, get me to the weekend, I'm coming. In the middle of the week, he called me back and said, yo, man, I was tripping, bro. I went back to the house, man. Ain't nobody throw my stuff out. My stuff's still in the house. Mental illness. And he suffered from it. He what do you call it? He couldn't be outside. He had to stay at home. He couldn't deal with outside anymore. I took him to the store one day and he panicked. I thought he was playing. But when we got home, he went in the room for hours, and when he came out, he's like, man, I can't take being around people. I'm paranoid. I can't deal with it. So he stayed in the room in the dark, watching TV. That was his life, and drinking beer till he died. You can't tell me mental illness ain't real. This is where we are, PTSD. We're putting our children in a state of post-traumatic stress from all the violence, the cussing, even sex. I remember my current wife and I were engaged in what we're supposed to engage in, and one of our sons heard us. It was kind of loud, and he started screaming at the top of his lungs, ah, ah. And I came out and talked to him, but I told him I'd talk to him again the next day, and he literally thought I was beating his mother. He thought I was, you hear the sound? He thought I was hitting her, and she's moaning, so it's like, oh, he beat my mama to death. Ah, ah. And we had to straighten that out. So you don't even talk about sex right. We got to get back into the lives of our children, walk and talk. Amen. I finished with the prayer. I thank y'all for tuning in. For right now, that's all I wanted to talk about. I pray that y'all will share this information like you share everything else. Make it gossip. You know, Keith was talking about marijuana today. That no good son of a gun. That's fine. Do that. I do have a Cash App at what is it? At $19 promotions, or you can look up Johnny Wilson if you would like to contribute to the Cash App, because we are trying to do some things, more things, and it takes money to do those things. And for the last 30 years, I've been consistent. Everything that I have, by God's permission, I spent my own money on, but I'm running out of money. That's just the bottom line. So if there's a contribution you can make, we want to have a heritage festival very soon, and we need to put together some things with some people. We have to pay them to come, because we have to pay for their rooms. We have to pay for their everything that goes along with it. But I think it's worth it. I think we got to give our children more than just gang, drill music, parties, cooler fest. That's one thing. That's on that side. But we got to balance it out with something else, because when you're balanced, it's better. And when people smoke marijuana, they're trying to become balanced. Amen. When they drink alcohol, they're trying to become balanced. So we want to try to balance each other out. That's how you help. That's how you show God that I'm sincere about what I'm doing. On a closing note, God, I pray that you will continue to bless our children as always, and help them to see that the violence that is going on is not solving anything. That the mental issues and the ripple effect and the repercussions of what's going on is going to cause more problems. Parents are getting threatened. Parents are getting shot at. Parents are getting accosted by people who are looking for their child. If you say you love your parents as much as you claim you do, take that someplace else, or just try to stop it altogether. So I thank everybody for tuning in. This is Jamil Salib Zamir of Manning, South Carolina, the 19 Report. Again, we're talking about marijuana, substance abuse, addiction. Most of our children are dope fiends. You can see it in their eyes. They're very violent towards their parents. You know it. Parents are terrified of their children. Most of them back away from them because they don't want to have to kill them, because that's the only thing that'll stop them. The children, I don't know how they're getting their hands on guns, felons, and 2, 3, 4-time felons. Everybody got a weapon now. And it's just, we're in a volatile time, and drugs and mental illness are not helping the situation. So I'm praying that God will continue to watch over us and help us to grow, make us to unite together as a people, black, white, red, brown, and yellow. I believe that there should be a community advisory board in Clarendon County. I believe the police and the community should work together to see to it that even though you got to arrest me, and if I become violent, I understand that you got to do what you got to do, but don't you be the first person to become violent. If I hold my hands up and put my hands behind my back, just take me to jail. Don't bring aggression into it to where it escalates. I pray that the young, I know y'all running on this Black Lives Matter thing, but you can't keep tearing up your own communities, because after you tear it up, there's nobody to fix it back. You all don't want to work like that. Y'all not equipped as engineers and carpenters and plumbers to do, and the old people, they can't help you. Even though they know the craft, they can't get up under there and do the things that are necessary to do. So if you tear it up, there's no way to fix it. Respect your elders. Give the young people a chance to live. Protect them. And anyone in the neighborhood who would shoot a child or shoot a woman or anything like that for any reason other than something justified, which there's not very much justification, then everybody should turn against them. They should not have a safe place anywhere. And you should give them a time limit on, hey, you're going to turn yourself in, or we going to have a problem. Because rules are necessary. Laws are necessary. This is a land that we didn't create that requires law. We got to learn how to work together with each other. I am willing to work with a white person as easy as I am to work with a black person, as long as you're not trying to change the narrative and make it all about the cause and not about the mental state of my people. I want my people to rise too. I thank the Clarendon County Police Department, Fire Department, Rescue Department. I thank all of the teachers. I think all of the teachers should be in the 6-figure salary realm. I think they should be well taken care of. I think teaching should become a noble profession where the teacher strives to be the best teacher and is paid to teach the children the right way. I also think it is a mistake to allow the children to go back to school under this pandemic because we don't know what it is. I think the children are going to be restless. I think they're going to start spitting on each other, breathing on each other, and licking on each other's food. And there's going to be a lot of violence in school. I pray different, but I can see it happening. So I'm asking Almighty God, Allah, whatever Satan has planned, not only to block Satan's plan, but to allow the people to know that you're blocking it. And God, by whatever name you call him, we give praises to that, because there's only one God. God has hundreds of names, but there's only one. How can an Arabic person come to America to teach God when they speak Arabic? It has to be someone here that speaks the language to tell you about God. And how can a person who is taught about God only one way teach the masses about God? You can't. It's foolish to think that only Christianity can save people. Everybody don't relate to it in that way. Some people don't relate to religion at all, but they are good people, as good as we can be. So I thank everybody for tuning in. I hope I didn't go over my time limit too much. Again, this is Jamil Salib, Amir, Manning, South Carolina, the 19 Report. Share this information. Power to you. Oh, honor. I have my shirt on. Honor thy mother and father. Let's get back into respect. Let's get back into honor. I know it angers us to hear about marijuana and stuff like that, but I can go deeper into it and what it does and the benefits of it. Again, if it benefits you, run with it, but know what you're doing when you do it. These people that are creating these pills that you putting under your tongue and popping, they're not chemists. They don't know what they're doing. They're just mixing stuff together and you taking it. We're dying. And the next generation will literally be crawling on all fours. They'll be having sex in the streets. They'll be doing whatever. Even during the riots, you saw people having sex in the streets. Violence excites people with mental illness. So to murder, to kill, gives some people a hard on. Makes some females very wet. They want to have sex. I read an article where a couple were having sex on dead bodies. They had killed two people, and they had sex on the bodies. This is last year. So we're in trouble. We can't keep going on this path of rebellion and disrespect. Share the information. Thank you for tuning in. Jamil Salib, Amir, Manning, South Carolina. I hope that goes.